Hi there, Internet. It's me, Mac Antigua, as per usual, here at You've Got a Thing. I was a guest last week, and then they hand the baton to me to host this week. So I'm guest hosting this week's edition of You've Got a Thing, presented by the Milwaukee Theater Alliance, where Milwaukee theater creators, directors talk to other Milwaukee theater creator directors about the thing they've got. Except I'm not a Milwaukee theater creator director. I'm just a Milwaukee audience member. But I'm so excited to have with me an actual Milwaukee director and performer, the talented Brian Rott of Quasimondo. Hi, Brian.
Hello. Thank you so much, Mac, for having me on You Got a Thing this morning.
Awesome. I was excited. As much as I'm having you, I was excited that I was assigned to you, because what happened is there's like a big stork that dropped like a bundle, and it said, "You're talking to Brian today." And so that's how it happened. So.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the new performance y'all are doing called Giraffe on Fire. And so before we get to plug in the show and breaking down the nuances of it, want to talk a little bit more, because again, there might be some out there that are watching aren't familiar, because it's not just Quasimondo, it's Quasimondo Physical Theater. And so looking forward for you to set me straight on the nuances of what makes something physical theater versus theater.
Absolutely. And it's not an exact straightforward answer, but I can define it as best I can this way. So yeah, as Max said, we are Quasimondo Physical Theater, and what sets how we define physical theater, and you can kind of look it up. There's a lot of different definitions, but how we define it is that our work doesn't rely on language as its primary motor to communicate. So like that said, we use a lot of different types of performance and communication styles and pieces and methodologies in order to make live performance, including a lot of music, movement, obviously, dance and puppetry and circus, object manipulation, working with masks, working with objects, and well, I guess one other thing that's important to describe our company and kind of what sets us apart as part of the whole like physical theater title is that all of the work that we create is original. It's written, within a devising process, within an ensemble of artists. Yeah.
And how many are in the ensemble right now?
We have a core ensemble of about eight different artists that that we've continued to work with over the years. But then we'll work with different artists on each project as well, that are only on that specific project.
Okay, got it. So we're talking about Giraffe on Fire, right? The latest project that you all have created and produced. And the thing about performing arts in this time of the pandemic, difficult to be in person. I imagine the nuances are also even more when you're really hyping up the physical element, right? Which speaks to the live in person for the performers themselves. So I am really curious for you to tell me about how you had to navigate our current reality, but yet stay honest and true to the production process, as well as the final, the final deliverable product of this. So I'd love to learn about that. How'd you make this in this time?
So it's as you mentioned, it's been difficult, especially for a physical theater company who is using like dance and movement, and oftentimes there's definitely contact. And we kind of thus far during the pandemic, we've done several different online programs, and we've tried to do a few in-person ones as well. Unfortunately, those ended up getting canceled. Which is why we decided to go the route we did with Giraffe on Fire. So Giraffe on Fire was a production that we originally did about 6 years ago. We originally created this piece in 2015.
Okay.
Got it. and at the time it was possibly like one of our most successful shows as far as bringing in new audiences, generating ticket sales and excitement. And here's a clip from it. Yeah, right now. And so we were deciding, well, what can we do, in the meantime until it becomes, safe, especially during the winter, to create original theater. And we decided to kind of pull from our archives, and take a live piece of theater that was very successful at the time, and to reformat it to the laptop, to the small screens everywhere. And that was also an opportunity for me. I directed this show originally with Jenny Reinke, to kind of go back, take a look at a piece that we were really proud of, that we created with an amazing ensemble, and to see and to learn film editing, and to see how live theater, live performance translates to a different medium of film. So that was kind of exciting as well.
Is there, so, it's a bit of like bringing back a piece that was developed and well-regarded, and bringing it to 2022 in a different format, in a different way. Is there any, and again, it's described a dance rhapsody in the key of Dalí, right? So it speaks to inspired by the work of Salvador Dalí.
Yeah.
Right, as well. Is there something about 2022, like in terms of, that also resonates perhaps, or is there something about it that inspires about the times we're in with this piece, not just necessarily the technical element of having to convert it to laptop, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. So at a very base level, I think we can all agree that the last few years have felt kind of surreal at times themselves. And it has been a little bit of a surreal experience going through the pandemic. But then as far as other themes that we thought were important about this show, were pretty much timeless. The show kind of deals with different questions of love and death and life and finding inspiration when things may seem kind of like hopeless and dark. Ultimately, it's a very uplifting piece of theater, and it's kind of a joyous celebration, I would say, of the arts and life and love. And so we thought that was potent to bring to audiences, especially in these cold Wisconsin months.
So you had talked about the intentionality of making this Omicron proof, right? Like when you started this, you didn't know where we were going to be and if this curve is going to flatten. So sort of plan to make it a digital film presentation. And you talked about how sounds like it's a new skill for you, or for your creative element, or newer skill. I'm really curious about was it a learning by doing thing, or were there specific resources or things that you took inspiration on when you were thinking about turning this into a movie, as you know?
Yeah. So no, I hadn't done any film editing prior to this, but we were very lucky to have a wealth of footage of this particular piece. This is from a filmographer. I have to give him a shout out. His name's Andy Walsh from All Friends Photography. He filmed the show several times for us when we originally produced it. And so we had several nights of live performances, to be able to pick and choose scenes from. How I learned to do it myself, it was, and it still is, a big learning curve. I'm sure other people out there have also, gone into the foray of film editing, but it's a completely different beast. I started using Adobe Premiere, and and I just started on YouTube. You know, there's like videos on YouTube to teach you how to do pretty much everything these days. And there's a full series, you know, starting with nothing, importing the clips and organizing them. But you know, like after that, then it was, you know, like figuring out how a live theatrical performance can translate to film in an exciting manner. And I'd say that was the biggest learning curve for me, and I'm still figuring out. It's still difficult, you know. Theater is like you block out these long segments, these long scenes that play continuously, you know. But with film, it's like you have to, for whatever reason, there's a built-in expectation that you change angles, you change the shot, and that makes it continuously exciting. So that was something that I kind of like wrestled with while editing it.
Well, I mean, translating anything, you know, like a play to a movie, right? There's the fact it becomes a movie and it becomes on its constructions, but the actual taking something that's on stage and capturing it so it's compelling. I have to imagine, and again, this is me imagining because I've never done it before. There's an aspect of movement, right? When you're thinking of the camera, and now put that dynamic on movement of dance. Like you don't want to take away from the piece, but yet you still have to move. And what was that tension like for you? Or was that, you know, how did you sort of like, what were your internal barometers, or how did you calibrate knowing like you don't want to take away the movement of the piece, but yet, you know, it sounds like you have a commitment to move in terms of capturing on a film.
No, yeah. I mean, now I would say what you touched on is kind of what made it particually like fun for me.
Okay, so it became a fun challenge. That was a fun challenge. Yeah.
For me, that's where the fun, like the fun and the problem solving came in. Like even with this last clip that you showed, which was choreographed by Simon and Andreas Eichinger. You know, there's movement throughout the whole piece of choreography, and so my approach, as well as all the different scenes in it, was trying to get those camera angles and switches and moves along with the choreography, you know, so that they were working together, you know, and sometimes it would mean like a panning from left to right, or it would like switch when there was a dynamic, you know, moment in the choreography. The other big thing was in theater and dance, live performance it's about the big picture a lot of the time, but then there's soloists and duets and other things like that. So how can I continuously pull out from the camera enough to get the sense, the big picture of the choreography, but then hone in when there is like a solo or smaller movement happening, because the other thing is that I didn't want it to be a film, you know, I didn't want it to be like a film version of the show. I wanted it to be a filmed version of the theatrical live piece. So I was trying to do both those things at the same time, kind of, I guess.
And the thing, Brian, if I understand, when you did this footage originally, was there a thought of like, you know, we're going to do that what you described someday? It was really a documentation, right, of it at the time. So almost you're like a documentarian in a way. You're taking found footage, creating movement, or creating a narrative, you know, a composition based on that. So it is almost like one of those MC Escher puzzles you just described of a thing, writing a thing.
Yeah, very much so. And you know, before we started live streaming it, I had several friends and a few members of our board of directors kind of like watch it with me to say, you know, does this still have the essence of a live performance piece? And I had a few of the choreographers like look at their pieces as well, to say, okay, am I getting the essence of it? Because that's really important, you know, and I think very difficult. It did take me a while too, quite a bit of time.
Yeah. What was the reaction as a whole, from folks who might've been in it? Like when and now they're seeing it now, and what were the reactions that you got from those who are involved in it and they see it?
Yeah, we actually did a live watch party well, hosted through a website called Watch Together this past Monday.
Yeah.
With a fair amount, most of the original like cast and like production ensemble, the designers and choreographers and whatnot. And I'd say it was jubilant. People, it's been several years, and live performance is something that it's evanescent. It happens, and it's this amazing experience you're swept up in for a few months, and then it's gone. And theatrical artists, you move on to the next project. It's difficult to go back and say. And to reflect and say, wow, I'm really proud of that piece. That was, something beautiful that we made.
Yeah.
So I think that this was, as I said, a bit of a jubilant experience for the people involved to kind of go back and to appreciate all the hard work that they put in at that time, which is also what's exciting to bring this to other audiences as well. Because once again, we create all of our own pieces, and our rehearsal periods are a little bit longer than traditional theater because, as I mentioned, it's a devising process where we're basically writing the show and creating all of the elements with the ensemble that's working on it. And so you can't do that in a traditional rehearsal process for theater, which I'd say, it's been a while since I've done it, but I'd say is about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Ours tends to be a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
And but you create something original by the end of it, and it's so nice to kind of come back and to still to have new audiences and breathe new life into a piece that we made.
Brian, the way you describe that, I think it's very telling that in a city like Milwaukee, which is a city of makers, you're describing a process which is a making process from inception to final. And then when you're done, you're going to make another thing out of it, which is you're going to make this movie and do something else. Right. And I just think that's such, it captures, I think, the spirit of the city. And then by presenting in this way, perhaps audiences who are like, I don't know what physical theater is, like, oh, okay. Like, oh, okay. It's another way for folks to engage. And hopefully when we're able to be back in person, they're going to see your next production, right? They're going to want us to go check.
That is the hope. Yeah.
That is the hope. That is the hope. Yeah, I appreciate you taking that. How can people catch Giraffe on Fire when they weren't part of their watch party? How can they catch it now?
We've extended the time that it's going to be streaming for. So it is going to be available to stream until February 27th. That's not this Sunday, but next Sunday. And all you have to do, you can go to our website and buy a ticket from there or from brownpapertickets.com.
Awesome. You see on the big board there how to get it there and make sure you get your tickets to check out Giraffe on Fire. As you wrap up, Brian, what else are you excited about in 2022? Could be Quasimondo, or it could be other things. What are you excited about?
Oh, so many things. I am excited to work on some new projects this summer with Quasimondo. Yeah. I'm excited to continue to make renovations at our North Milwaukee Art House building, and then personally, my partner and I just had a baby not too long ago. Wow. And this is going to be our first summer with the little girl. So we're looking forward to doing some outdoorsy things.
Lovely. Congratulations on that. And congratulations on this. And hopefully a very prolific 2022 to make up for that time we weren't able to be together in the past year. Yeah. Also, you get to look forward to sitting in this chair next Friday, hopefully. And
I forgot to mention that.
And you got that one.
That's probably the most exciting part.
Thanks so much, Brian. And that's Giraffe on Fire, Quasimondo Physical Theater. catch them online, but then you can also catch them on the north side when we get things back and going, hopefully in the weeks to come.
Thank you, Mac, and thank you. You got a thing.
All right.
I gotta say, Mac, you were the best with keeping time.
Well, the beautiful thing of this of StreamYard, it's always on the upper left-hand corner. I'm like, what time am I at? What's
It's
going on?
gotta be your incessant cycle of being in meetings like this, of which you have another one coming up after this. So we have to let you go as well. But before you do, I wanted to, if it's gonna let me do this, it gave me some sort of warning thing before, because sometimes Google can be really not helpful.
Boo.
It's telling me that I lost screen permission.
How dare you say that about Google? How dare you?
It's done it before, so I'm not going to be able to show. It did this a couple weeks ago, and I don't know why it keeps doing this to me outside of the permission process and all that kind of junk. So, but you were on last week, so I would encourage people to go to either our Facebook or YouTube live stream tabs to check out last week's episode, because you came on to talk about a very important survey that just was completed and the results were finished. Can you just give like a little blip about that before?
We partnered up with the Wisconsin Policy Forum in the fall to construct a survey of Milwaukee County artists and creatives, and the report was compiled called "The Work of Art," and the intention was to ask these questions. One, what was the effect of the pandemic on artists and creatives with regards to their practice, with regards to their own overall health as well. And we also wanted to learn more about what artists and creatives thought that could get them back, if not on their feet, but also to thrive after we have this current chapter. And so what are possible policy recommendations and ways to support artists and creatives to be able to create and thrive. So it's a first step. It's called The Work of Art. There you see, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that they put together. Credit to them.
I tricked the Google. I tricked the Google.
Tricked it.
And got this up. Okay.
Yeah. Also, you saw on there also is that, we've got you go to imaginemk.org /act. There's some proposals. We invite you to just let your electeds know. For those of you that may be aware, there's a lot of resources that have come into the state through the American Rescue Plan Act that are coming at the city and county level. And they're in the process right now of spending it. And so our push, our invitation is to have them think about spending 2% of those fundings into arts and cultural efforts, not just production of arts and culture for the sake of arts and culture. That's super important, but also the fact that arts and culture is an economic driver. These are people working and getting paid for their work, right? As well as these are things that create place, and these are things that create a sense of connection and belonging. Especially after spending the last 2 years feeling like we don't belong to each other because we've been separated by social distancing and all these things. So definitely encourage you not just to check out the report, but also to take action of educating your elected reps, such as County Soups, and as well as our future mayors, as we're down to a final 2, right? So whoever the future mayor is, definitely take time to inquire there.
Well, I think it's also important to say then too that the reason you're leaving is because there is a thing at noon to help people be better at contacting their officials and things like that, to be a better advocate. So that is welcome to anybody who signs up, correct?
Yeah, go to imaginemk.org and become an arts champion. And what that means is we want you to speak up for the arts and culture. And we, David Lee leads, I co-host with him, but he leads a weekly lunch at noon. And it's kind of the road show, if you will, about what does it mean to advocate? What does it mean to educate? And what's allowed, what's not allowed. So you don't do that. But most of all,
I always listen to that advice.
That's the part you want to listen to all the time. But I'd say the key takeaway is that to remind folks that our elected representatives depend on us for insights. And ultimately, the currency is our votes. So let us hold them accountable, right? And support them. And again, it's not a knock on electeds aren't doing. Sometimes they're not aware of how this matters. And so we get to do that. And so this is a way of doing that. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for coming back.
Thanks
to
for having
host.
me. It was fun to do the car wash, be the interviewee and interviewer.
Yeah,
And
yeah, we like
yeah,
this cycle.
I'll
And
hand your show back to you.
thank you so much. And I will see you at noon. So anybody out there who wants to hear me talk more nonsense, I will be in that meeting at noon. And thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Great organization that Imagine MKE. You hear me talk incessantly about them all the time because I feel it's super important. So I'm just trying to do my part, and they help you do your part. So now that I tricked the Google, let me show you the other events that are happening at this moment in time and talk about that for a hot second. Nope. It just did. Google, don't be sassy. Don't do that to me. Let's try this one. There we go. Ha ha ha. Okay, so happy opening to the Village Playhouse at the Interchange Theater Co-op. They had to delay this a week, but they're opening today, and this is a great set of new plays that they do every year. It's one of the first one act festivals in Wisconsin, all original Wisconsin playwrights. Tom was on from Village Playhouse a couple weeks back. So again, you can go to our Facebook and YouTube streams to learn more about that in depth. You can go to villageplayhouse.org for that. Capita Productions has a bunch of stuff going on right now. Capita, if you don't know them, they stand for City at Peace in the Arts, great nonprofit community theater company founded in 1990. Their mission is to foster multicultural awareness and racial harmony through the medium of community theater. You can, at this moment in time, register for their virtual programs, especially if you're a school or educational group or community organization. I've seen Capita perform, and I've said this before, just the voices on that crew, just beautiful voice of angels, I'm telling you. So go to capitaproductions.com to learn more about that. Neath the Hills of Bastogne is open at Sunstone Studios. That runs through, I think this weekend. I just didn't put that down because sometimes I miss crap. And this is a World War II based play written by Zach Thomas Woods, who's a wonderful artist in Milwaukee. This is directed by Samantha Martinson, also another wonderful artist in Milwaukee. It's like I said, World War II. It's talking about and dealing with a ragtag group of combatants as they are looking to the past and pray for the future, wondering if peace is possible in the face of overwhelming hatred, something that doesn't ever seem to go away. So you can go to Sunstone Studios MKE.com for more info and tickets on that. Auditions for kids from Wisconsin start this week. If you are passionate about singing and dancing and you're between the ages of 15 and 20, this is a really great first opportunity to get exposure and sort of a taste of what the professional touring experience is like. And you can go to the auditions tab at kidsfromwisconsin.org to find out how you can do that. I think they're having 4 different locations across Wisconsin. It's also on our calendar at MilwaukeeTheaterAlliance.org, what those locations are. And they'll tell you how to get that stuff together. I think they're also taking video submissions if that's better off for you. So do that at kidsfromwisconsin.org. Again, Mac just talked about imaginemke.org/act about how you can become a better advocate for the arts. If you are an arts lover, if you're a theater lover, it I almost beg you, I kind of do beg you to learn how to be a better arts advocate for that art you love, because Wisconsin is currently 49th in state funding for the arts. Our per person breakdown of how much Wisconsin spends per person on the arts is like 7 cents or 17 cents or something insane like that, as opposed to Minnesota right next door. That's number one. And I mean, if you want to learn how Minnesota did that, Google it. But you should check out the results of this survey, because it's, if you're an artist particularly, because it'll give you the full scope of thoughts about how artists in the Milwaukee area survive and live and what they do. So check that out at imaginemke.org, and /act is where you can sign up for them to give you all the copy you could possibly need to talk to your state rep. And then just a kind reminder that it is still February. Black lives still matter. It is Black History Month. It would be in your best interest to learn more about what that's about if you have not done that previously. I just wanted to say too that there are a bunch of great organizations here in Milwaukee that are Black arts organizations, including Black Arts MKE, that was part of the Milwaukee Black Theater Festival that just had their second year. There's a whole bunch of ways that you can support Black artist-run theater spaces in Milwaukee. You can donate, you can buy merchandise and things like that. So there's Bronzeville Arts Ensemble, Black Arts MKE, like I just said, Lights Camera Soul, run by DeMonte Henning, who's a wonderful artist here, and a ton of organizations like that. And so just get out there and support the Black artist community in Milwaukee, because everybody needs money. Going back to the arts advocacy thing, everybody needs money, and you can support Black artists this month in particular, Black History Month. Just get out there. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. So, yeah. Thank you for showing up today, or watching this at a later time when you have the time to do that. As we said, Brian will, unless his baby gets in the way, which, if you're parents, you know how that works. Sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. And that he'll be back to host. I have confirmation that Susan Scott Fry from Optimus Theater and Shakespeare in the Park is going to be back with an announcement. Maybe that's super important to you artists out there if you really like the Shakespeare in the Park thing. Which you should. And so they will be talking about that next week. So come back. It would be great to have you live to ask questions, and we can get them answered live here for you. But thank you for joining us today on You've Got a theme.